Hello, my loves, and welcome back. Has your cat ever walked up to their plate, had a sniff, and walked away? Did that set your anxiety off? I've experienced this with my boys, and in this video, I'm going to share with you what to do to tempt your cat back to the plate and how you can deal with your anxiety about this situation. If you haven't already subscribed to the Naturally Cats YouTube channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button along with the bell to get notifications of my new releases so you can help your cat with every video. 3 years ago, my eldest boy, Leo, had an episode of feline anorexia. I've never heard of such a thing until we experienced it. And basically, he stopped eating for 4 days, ended up being at the vet's for 2 nights, and I was an absolute mess. So I'm going to share with you in this video what I've done to manage my anxiety about my cats not eating. Unfortunately, it's a frequent event, and as somebody that suffers with anxiety, it's a really deep trigger for me. Now, obviously, I can align my situation and my experiences back to that trauma with Leo. But I wanted to talk with you today about what you can do if your cat goes up to that plate, if they're not eating, if they walk away, about what happens in you and how you can deal with it. So let's get started. There's 3 things that I want to look at with you today. The first is what happens in you, to you, when your cat walks away from that plate. This is the first point for us really to understand what emotions and energy are we bringing to this situation. So like I've shared, for me, Leo walks up to a plate and it's literally happening in our house at the moment. It's happened this morning before I recorded this video. He walked up to the plate, had a sniff and walked away. And what I noticed is my body, everything in me tenses and tightens. So I ask you, when you see your cat go up to that plate, sniff, maybe not, lick their lips, maybe not, walk away, what happens to you? Because in that moment, there is a shift of energy. So when I see that with Leo, my whole body tightens and my vibration plummets because I go straight to fear, doubt, worry, stress, anxiety, scared, nervousness. There's also a layer of frustration. You know, Leo's fed raw food, so there's a money component. You know, that'll be the 3rd meal that I've put down the toilet, for example. There is anger because why won't you just eat? It's fresh food. You know, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with the food? Can't you just eat it? So it's important for us to recognize what happens to us in that moment because we need to be able to work with it and shift it. So everything is made of energy, and emotions are energy in motion. When we experience emotions, we need to work with them. We need to find a way to process them, to let them go. And that's not to say we ignore them by letting them go, but rather than push them back down or not really face or feel into them, it's really important for us to experience that emotion and it work through our body, through our chakras, through our auric field. So I ask you this, the first question, what happens in you? How do you feel when your cat walks up to their plate and then walks away? Because once you can identify how you feel about the situation, you've got something to work with. You can look at your energy. You can work with your emotions to start to move and change this situation. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want you to consider is when you see your cat walk up to their plate and they walk away, what happens? What do you feel? And it might be helpful if you get your phone and you make a list and you note down all the things that you feel. Even something as simple as that can help you to get the emotions out of you rather than them sitting up here in your head, going on repeat and on a loop and causing you the anxiety, because that's what happens when we get into that space of being anxious, nervous, scared, worried, and all these other things with our cats. If we don't lean into and work with the emotions, it starts to become this giant tumbleweed, which just kind of bounces around in your head, which is where the anxiety, for me anyway, can come from. So that's the first thing that I wanted you to be aware of. Okay. So the second is what happens the next time you're creating or making a plate of food for your cat. So we've had probably 4 meals now where Leo has either made a lick or two of the plate or not eat anything. My head is starting to go into overdrive, okay? Panic, worry, fear, scared. So when I made his food this morning, I was making it in desperation. I am desperate for him to eat because I'm scared. I'm worried that we're going to end up with a situation that we've got to go to and fro the vets, which Leo is petrified of the vets. That's another story. And it's going to be hard and painful and traumatic. So I'm preparing this food with an energy, a vibration, a frequency of desperation. And if somebody created a plate of food for you that was made from desperation, how do you think it would feel? How do you think it would taste? You know, people say like it's cooked with love and, you know, we put energy into the things that we create. Now, I know I'm not making the food as in, you know, I'm just preparing the plate, but, you know, energy comes out of my hands, out of my body. And if I'm in such a low vibration that I am petrified of him not eating, that's going to be in the food. So I ask you this question, the second question. If you are experiencing your cat not eating, what are you bringing to the situation when you create a plate of food? Trust me, it's not easy to make that switch, to just go from desperation to, oh, everything's fine, you know, and I know he's going to eat. But what we can do is be aware of how we are experiencing the situation. Because like I said, our energy impacts our cats, which brings me on to the third point, and we'll come to that in just a minute. So what are you bringing into the situation when you're creating that plate of food? So what I'm going to do at lunchtime, when I do Leo's meal, is I'm going to stand there and I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to notice just for a second what's going on with me. And then I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to picture him clearing a plate of food, which he's done hundreds of times, you know. And this may not be for everyone. And if it's not for you, you know, take a pinch of salt and move on. But visualization changes our vibration. Remembering a happy moment elevates our vibration. So yes, I may still be fearful and nervous and scared, but if that's literally emanating out from all of me, every pore of my being, that's going to be in the food. If I can change that slightly with, I know that he will eat. I trust that he will eat. He's eaten so many meals beforehand. I know he's got a good appetite. It shifts it. So when you're creating a plate of food, notice what you're bringing to it and use visualization. Use a happy memory. Close your eyes, don't close your eyes. It doesn't matter. I'll also be using my breath to be able to ground and center myself, because when we are anxious, we come up in our heads, we get lost. We're not grounded, we're not present, we are anticipating the pain of the future, i.e. the cat's not eating. And it shifts our vibration, it brings it down, it makes it heavy. So even finding a place of love, a happy memory with your cat, maybe eating, maybe not, maybe having cuddles, whatever it may be, bring that vibration into the moment, okay, when you're preparing that plate of food. Okay, and then the third element to consider is, again, yourself. How are your eating habits? Are you going through a phase or a stage of needing carb foods, sugary foods? How is your eating habits, and how are you honouring and nurturing your body? So one of the things that I've noticed with baby Max is when I'm in a space of needing carbs or really sugary food, baby Max doesn't like to eat his raw food. So the boys have a mixture of raw and fresh. Baby Max also has wet. And there are occasions when we do have dry food in the house and he may have a couple of bits of kibble. So I am pro raw. I am, you know, cats are carnivores. I don't like to feed them dry food. Leo doesn't have it. But baby Max, for many reasons, it's there if we need it. It's not very often, but it happens. And there are times when he will go up to his food and I'll have done the first two things I talked about, and he still won't eat. And again, it probably comes from a place of fear for me. So I give him a couple of pieces of kibble on top of his wet, raw, fresh food, and he clears the plate. So what is going on with you? Because cats are our mirrors. A lot of the times in my experience with my clients, they have the same physical conditions that their guardian has. They will mimic, they will mirror, they will show you back emotions that are in you that you need to release. For the last 2 years since I've had baby Max, I have now finally come to realize that his eating habits are directly linked to mine. And what I've noticed when I journal and when I work with the emotions, like I said to you for the point number one, when I work with my emotions, it's generally to do with emotions that I'm not acknowledging, which are sitting in my solar plexus, which is the tummy area, or I'm not being true to myself, which is connected to the sacral space, the sacral chakra, which is about your sense of identity. So those two chakras, the tummy and just below, are all linked to the digestive system. Okay, the intestines, the tummy, etc. So I now realize that when baby Max starts to go off his food, all the stress and worry and doubt and fear in the world isn't going to help. It's actually going to probably make the situation worse. So what I do is I create time for me, time to journal, time to meditate, time to take a walk and reflect, because we are so intrinsically linked to our cats that they have the beautiful capacity to show us when we need to shift. They are the mirrors of our energy and emotions. So if you're ever concerned about your cat, excuse me, get a vet check done. If they're suddenly off their food and that's not like them, please get a vet check done. But if you start to see a pattern, you could always make some notes. I've noticed that with baby Max as well. And be aware that your energy, your vibration, your emotional state will impact the cats. So yes, there could be a physical issue, a physical problem going on. Maybe you've changed food brands or flavors and they don't like it. That's all possible too. But if we bring it back to the basic energetic level, energy and emotions are so intrinsically linked, and we are with our cats. So the next time your cat goes up to a plate of food, sniffs and walks away, rather than coming straight up into your head and freaking out, which is what I do and I have done, take a breath, take a moment and notice what you feel and let it go and work with it and understand what's there. When you prepare the next plate of food, notice what comes up in you and take a look at if there's any cycle with these cats when they're walking up to the food and coming away. I know that I need to journal this afternoon because I know that Leo and his, I'd say, aversion to food is connected to me. I've got some emotions that I've been putting to one side because I don't want to deal with them because they're heavy and I'm probably going to have a good cry and I need to shift it. And I wouldn't be surprised if later on Leo clears his plate of food. This has happened so many times. If you've been part of the Naturally Cats community for the last 12 months, you'll know that this is a frequent thing in our house. So if you've got a cat that isn't eating, don't rush to change their food. Don't rush to try to make changes to their environment. Take a look at yourself, my love, and see what's going on in you and how you can shift yourself. And then that will probably help the cat come back to their plate of food. So I'd love to hear from you. Please come into the comments below this video and tell me, has your cat gone up to their food and walked away? Tell me what comes up for you. Even just watching this video and hearing about my experience, does it resonate for you? What do you do when your cat doesn't eat? I'd love to know. And if you're interested in learning more about how your cats mirror you and this connection that we have with them, the energetics and the emotions, consider coming to join me for the Become a Soul-Led Cat Guardian program. I'll drop a link below. It's an application-only program, and I help people to come out of their heads and come into their heart spaces to connect with the essence, the soul, and the wisdom of their cat. I particularly work with empaths and highly sensitive people, those dealing with anxiety and or an anxious cat, because as I've shared with you today, That's who I am, that's what I have, and that's what I deal with day to day. So all the tools in the program I use myself, and I'd love to see if they can support you with your cat. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to drop into the comments below and let me know how it's resonated for you. And if you haven't already watched it, I've got another video which is about helping you to deal with your anxiety about your cat. So be sure to check that out, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.